You all, good Sabbath morning. This is Bill Bullock coming to you live from the Biblical Lifestyle Center in Texarkana, Texas, USA. We're here today to enjoy the Sabbath together, the day that begins with remembrance. If you think that your instructions about Sabbath begin with rest, or with have a meeting, or with anything else, then you've misunderstood the purpose of the Sabbath. The first instruction we're ever given regarding the Sabbath day is to remember it. That means we need to stop thinking about whatever it is that has us stressed out. Stop obsessing over and being triggered by whatever has us emotionally engaged, and remember, and just step back into time. Step back and remember when everything in the world was fresh and new, when the Creator was actively engaged and involved, and you could smell His fragrance. Remember the seventh day. Remember the day in which everything, all possibilities were open. The beginnings, new beginnings were springing up everywhere. The Creator's handiwork and His signature were on all things, and all things were possible, just waiting to happen. Well, remember that day. This is our time to reconnect with that. We do not make Sabbath or do Sabbath for the Holy One. We do it with Him. He leads us and we follow. We disconnect from the things of the world to reconnect with Him. And as we do so, we see each other and we smile a different kind of smile than we normally do. We smile a smile knowing that all things are possible. All things can be made new. The Holy One's plan is for good, and His sweet fragrance is even yet still filling the earth and the universe. Well, Shabbat Shalom. That's what that means to you, to me. Today we are stuck off on another leg of our journey, the great journey of Torah that we take every year, the journey that goes deeper and deeper into eternal wisdom, the eternal emet, the truth, not some empirical fact. This is deeper than empirical fact. This is eternally true things that change and empower the world and and empower the people in it. So welcome to phase 2 or book 2 of the great journey of the Torah that we take every year. This is the week we transition from Sefer Bereshit, also known in the Jamesian language, the King James language, as Genesis. Actually, that's a Latin word. It comes from the Catholic Church. That's the book that starts off the Torah that most people think of as Genesis. That's actually Bereshit, a Hebrew book in a Hebrew language, beginning with the Hebrew word Bereshit. So that was that first book. We completed that last week with Parsha Vayechi, as we ended the section with Hazak, Hazak, Vanik, Hazak, be strengthened, and may we all be strengthened together. We finished the book, and we look forward to the next one. Today we begin our studies in the next book. We begin our journey through the great adventure that we have in the book that the King Jamesians call Exodus. I guess that's actually, again, also from the Latin and from the Catholic popes of yesteryear, who called it Exodus, a Latin term. And that's not really the name of the book. It's not a Latin book for Latin people or an English book for English people. It is a Hebrew book in a Hebrew language for Hebrew people and Hebrew-minded people all over the world. And the name of this book is Shemot. We usually translate that into English because we don't really have an equivalent in English. We usually translate that as names. These are the names. Ele Shemot is the way it starts in Hebrew. The second word, Ele is the first, and then Shemot is the second. And so this begins the theme, the entire book. The entire book is about Shemot. It's not about names. It's about something much deeper than names, because Hebrew thought is just so much deeper than Western thought. It's just a different way of looking at the world, a different perspective from which to view the world. And so here we are with the book that is called Shemot, a sefer, an outlay of revelation, download of wisdom, a download of a great story that should change the entire universe and all thinking of men, is a Hebrew book that begins with the words Ve'ele Shemot, and these are the Shemot names. So what are we talking about? What is this adventure we're going to run on? This 11-week adventure. that we're going to engage in with regard to the Sefer called Shemot. What are these Shemot things? They're not names. We've already established this is not an English book for English speakers and English thinkers. This is a Hebrew book that goes, so it's much deeper. Something that's much deeper than names is involved in Shemot. And we'll find out more along those lines as we go through our journey together. I look forward to it as we think of all things being new, this first Sabbath of Shemot. But let's just begin by the fact that the related Hebrew verbs that go with Shem, which is the singular form of Shemot. Shemot is plural. Shem, the related Hebrew verbs are Yasham, Yod, Shem, Mem, Sofit, Nasham, Nun, Shin, Mem, Sofit, and Shema, which is not the Shema of the hearing, it's another Shema. It's Shin Mim He as opposed to Shin Mim Ayin. And so the Shema with the He at the end, the Yasham, the Nasham, all these things, and then the word Neshama, which is usually translated as life breath or spirit, is the eternal divine spark of holiness, eternity that's been placed in the man's life. And so the neshama, the nishmat hayim, is what was breathed into Adam by the Holy One in Genesis 2:7. Before that, he had just been a nephesh. He'd been a mind, a will, an emotion, and a body, but he had not had that eternal spark in him. And then the Holy One picked him up, held his face against his nostrils, as it were, symbolically, and breathed into him the neshama, the nishmat hayim. So these words all connect with Shemot. There is something deep and at the very essence. If you think about an onion, people always talk about, or often talk about, what happens if you peel an onion. You peel layer by layer by layer, but eventually at the core of it, you don't really find anything you can see with your eyes, but there is a energy, a core energy of this seed of what the onion really is. And that's what a Shemot are about. Shem is about what is at the core. What is the essence? What is the immanence? The divine spark within that. And so in English we think of names as being sort of like labels we put on people, or titles we call them by, or monikers that we attach to somebody. But in Hebrew, the idea of a Shem, and plurally Shemot, is that we are getting down to the ultimate essence and the energy that drives them. And you're going to find out that he's going to identify the Shemot. And he says these are the names, Ele Shemot, of the children of Israel, Bnei Israel, who joined, who went with Yaakov to Mitzrayim, to Egypt. And so that's how the book's going to start. And it's going to be taking us into the depth of who these people are at their core. Because you see, we're going to have a new term, a new phrase introduced in the Torah, in the book of Shemot, even beginning with the Parsha Shemot, the Genesis 1, Exodus 1:1 through 6:1. We're going to see several times we're going to have this phrase mentioned by the Creator of the universe himself. He's going to speak this phrase. He's going to say, my people. He's going to say, I have heard the cries of my people. I have understood their pain. I have come to deliver my people. He's going to tell Moshe what to say. He's going to say, Shalach et Ami. Tell them, send out my people. This phrase, my people. What is at the core of my people? What is at the Shemot? What is at the essence? Who are why are they his people? What makes them his people? What are the ramifications of them being his people? And what will they look like? How will we recognize? Well, I could go into more detail. Perhaps we will in a few moments. But I want to go ahead and get started with our firmer discussions. I call this whole Parsha, coming soon to a city or village near you, the people of the more excellent way. We're not here to talk politics. We're not here to discuss religion or theology. We're here to discuss the grand plan of the Creator of the universe for the redemption of mankind as a species, and for the restoration of all of creation, hillside by hillside, valley by valley, continent by continent, and ocean by ocean, to its original intended Edenic state. of beauty and of fruitfulness, and of shalom and harmonious interaction. We're here to remember the seventh day. We're here to remember the creation and the energy of creation. And we're here to focus on what that would mean if we were to get a hold of that, if we were to connect with that, if we were to begin to channel that energy into our world. Coming soon to a city or village near you, the people of the more excellent way. This epic journey we are about to begin is from Bereshit, from Genesis, as it's known in the Western world, from Genesis to Exodus, from Bereshit to Shemot, from that which is out of a shaking to that which is of the essence. What is left when the shaking is over. From God will surely visit you, which was the promise that Yosef, our Messiah figure at the end of the book of Genesis, our foreshadowing of the Messiah, he said, God will surely visit you, pakad you, come to you, to muster you, to call you forth, and he'll bring you up. And from that we go to the Holy One speaking and saying, have them, telling Moshe, have them, being Bnei Israel, this people of the more excellent way, have them build a mikdash, a sanctuary, a holy place for me, so that I may dwell among them, with them, in them, on them, though I may be in the world. And we transition, we embark on this great journey from a patriarchal encampment in Goshen. We're isolated, safe but isolated, to Egyptian slave quarters and slime pits and death-causing store city building projects. And then we go beyond that in this book, in this epic journey. We'll go to matzah making and wilderness wandering and seaside singing and to Matan Torah and to Mikdash building, to tabernacle building, and seeing this great visitation, first in Egypt, whenever the Holy One comes to deliver us. Second, at Sinai, when he comes to make us his people by declaring over us his will and his ways, the more excellent way. And thirdly, at Sinai again, whenever we complete the tabernacle, the temple, the Mikdash, this place he can dwell amongst us, and he comes and inhabits and dwells within it. This is a great journey we're about to embark upon. Come along with us. But first we need to look back just for a second. Remember, what has Bereshit accomplished in us? What was the purpose of starting the great narrative of divine autobiography with Bereshit, as opposed to going straight into the building the people that he wants us to be? Well, the first thing the Holy One did through Bereshit, through Sefer Bereshit, Book of Genesis, is to awaken in us the fear of the Holy One. The beginning point of every quest for knowledge is the fear, the reverence, the awe of the Holy One. And not just the awe and the reverence of the Holy One, but love for him, to understanding of his goodness, desire to know him better, desire to be with him because he is good. Awakening in us the fear of and the love for the Holy One, the ultimate point of beginning for every quest for knowledge and relevance in this world. That was the first thing Bereshit did. The narrative of Bereshit was designed to awaken in us a deep reverence for and a delicious delight in our Creator. I hope you're enamored with him. I hope you're caught up in this romance, this divine romance, where you see your relationship with the Creator as the most important relationship, the energy source out of all other relationships you'll ever have, and all other interactions you will have with the world or its physical, geographical locations, or its situations or circumstances. The energy force for you to do that well and do it beautifully and be a people of a more excellent way. I hope that you are caught up and fully aware and fully convinced of his goodness, of his wisdom, and of his exquisite artistry, his superlative way of doing everything he does. He does all things well, as it was said by Kohelet, Ecclesiastes, Solomon. Well, first is to give us reverence for and delicious delight in him as a person, as the glorious persona of the Creator. But secondly, to have us be delighting in and respectful of the ecosystem that he has given us to steward, the species, the physical geographical locations, the atmosphere, the stratosphere, the environment, the heavenlies, the backdrop of all the creation that we see every day, the sunsets, the sunrises, the winds that blow, the storms, the rains that come, the sunshine that warms the body and the heart and the mind and opens the fragrances of the earth as they come forth. Hope the ecosystem that he has given us to steward and to be amazed by has caught your heart, has captured your heart, and awakened your love for the Creator as well as His creation. If you do not love it, you will not be a good steward of it. If you do not see its beauty and its magnificence the way it was created, you will try to change it and modify it and morph it into what you want. Oh, the deep reverence for and delicious delight for the ecosystem He gave us to steward. That is what one of the things that the book of Genesis has done. And then the third thing, maybe the most important part of Genesis, is to catch us up in the brilliance of His grand plan. We know the world is not perfect. We know the world is full of terrible things and sometimes horrible acting people. We know that there is Ra, Shemot, and Hamas, and I'll refer you back to the English phrases just so you can know what I'm talking about. Evil, corruption, and violence / cruelty / fairly unwillingness to grant grace to anybody. We know the world is full of those things. But we know that there is a grand plan afoot by the Creator of the universe. He says He has a solution. He has a remedy. He has an antidote for that, and that is to raise up a people that will be like the little boys in Holland, as we all with the imagery, the finger and the dikes. And no Ra, no Shemot, no Hamas, no evil, no corruption, no violence, crime, or lack of grace comes into my world. This is us, the brilliance of His grand plan for the redemption of mankind and the employment of mankind in His grand plan to restore all of creation to its Edenic state of beauty, of fruitfulness, of shalom, and of harmonious interaction, the things we're supposed to remember on the Sabbath about this creation. Well, the second thing, after instilling in us the fear of the Holy One and the love of the Holy One and His creation and His plan, is to reconnect us to the Abrahamic covenant. There is an anchor that we can connect to, the root from the rock from which we were hewn, the cistern from which we draw strength and life. The well is Abrahamic covenant, the Abrahamic covenant. And it has the essential foundations of the B'Tselem Elohim mission statement. B'Tselem Elohim means in the shadow of the Holy One. We have a parallel universe, two parallel universes. We have the heavens above, where it is ruled by the Holy One, and it is His beautiful beauty realm and throne room. Wisdom always prevails. And then there is the earthly realm, the parallel realm below, which is not so. But sometimes they align. And the idea is that there should be a shadow in the earthly realm of what's going on and who there is ruling in the heavenly realm. We are called to be B'Tselem Elohim, the shadow of Elohim in our world. This is the Abrahamic covenant. We are called to Lech Lekab and Baracha. We are called to go out, to go out, to become who we were created to be, not to be conformed to the images of the world, not be conformed to the mindsets, not be conformed to the triggers, emotional and psychological and cultural triggers of the world, but to be a people unto the Holy One. And Baracha, the second part of that calling, and this is from Genesis 12, 1 through 3, we are to be a blessing to every family on the face of the earth. A bracha. We are to release them from limitations and restrictions by connecting them to the B'Tselem Elohim, the shadow of the Holy One, and His more excellent way. And we are to also, the Abrahamic covenant has its foundation, the phrase hit halech lefanai, which in English translated, walk before me and be blameless, walk before my face. We are to walk always in the presence, conscious and aware of the engagement with us, of the witness of the Creator of the universe. Hit halech lefanai. As we walk, we carry His presence, His fragrance, His essence with us. This is the Abrahamic covenant, and this is what we're reconnected to through Genesis. And finally, the Elohim, Hashava, Letovah worldview. And the Holy One meant it for good, is meaning all things, working all things together for tov, for good, for that which is a fountain of good for generations after generations after generations. The goodness factor. Well, these are the things that are the Abrahamic covenant as elements. And these were modeled for us first by the patriarchs, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, and then matriarchs, Sarah, and Rivka, and Rachel, and Leah. And then, at the end of the book of Bereshit, they were modeled for us in ultimate form, in practical, useful form, in the most difficult of situations by our Messiah prototype, Yosef ben Yaakov ben Yitzhak ben Avraham. So, the third thing, the final thing that Bereshit Initiative accomplished that we're going to talk about today before we move on into Shemot is it got us to Egypt. The narrative of Bereshit, of Genesis, got us into Egypt, the place which has been ordained before the foundation of the world, the darkest place on the earth, the most dangerous, most corrupt, most vile, most evil, most unloving, uncaring, unforgiving nation, people, culture in the world got us there because that's where our story has to start. And the story is going to be stunning and world-changing. We do not have to conform to those images. A great nation can be born, will be born, is being birthed, is being called forth. A great nation, though, needs a truly glorious redemption story. An unlikely, impossible story. But we're on the Sabbath, right? And we're remembering all things are possible. So gather around, one and all, and you want to hear a great, truly redemption story? Well, please take a listen to ours. Our nation will not be birthed out of human aspiration or ideation. We won't have great ideas that form this. We will be birthed out of divine visitation. The very connection of the heavenly realm to the earthly realm will come through a portal, and there will be a divine visitation, and that will be what our nation, our great nation, will be birthed out of. What a story! But it's not over. Most of the nations of the world are birthed out of revolution. Ours will not be birthed out of revolution. There will be no revolt. Ours will be built out instead of revolution. We will be built out of revelation. Upon revelation. Revelation will be the life force of everything we do. Connection, flow, free flow of wisdom, free flow of energy from the heavenly realm into the earthly realm. That was what will make us the people of the most excellent way. Now, we can turn away from the looking toward the past as we look back to Genesis and look forward into Sefer Shemot, into the book of essences of what we really were called to be and who we're really called to be. What will Sefer Shemot, the book of Exodus, mean to us? First of all, it will forge us into a great nation. The great nation the Holy One has been promising since he began to talk to Abraham. I will make you a great nation. And he's been saying it. He said it to Yitzhak. He said it to Yaakov. He said it through Yosef. He proved it through Yosef. I will forge you into a great nation. Well, this is the season in which that great nation formation will take place. So, Am Yisrael Chai, the people, the nation of Israel, live. Begin, in addition to forging us into a great nation, the narrative of Sefer Shemot, the book of Exodus, will give us a collective neshama memory bank of certain things. What it's like to suffer, what it's like to be oppressed, what it's like to be hated, what it's like to be condemned to death and forced to death by hard, back-breaking manual labor in the sturdiest, filthiest slime pit jobs of the world. We need to know that. Our collective neshama memory bank needs never to forget where we came from, never to forget how man's inhumanity to man, if left unchecked, like it was in Egypt, can do horrible things to human beings, to fellow human beings, to co-created human beings. We need to know that. We need to always remember that, lest we become arrogant, lest we become proud, lest we think we're more than we aren't, lest we think that in our human form we will ever excel, that we will ever arise into anything more than that same combination of Ra, Shekat, and Hamas, evil, corruption, and violence. No, there has to be something take place to bring us out of those slime pits, to take us out of that prison, to rise. There must be this revelation downstream. So we need to know what it's like to be condemned to death and hated and treated badly, and know how that feels, so that we will not do that to anyone else, and we will be able to empathize with others who are in that situation. Second thing, we need to know what it means to be the object of maniacal hatred and genocide campaigns. Egypt is so good at that part of the world, where the Irashaka and Hamas congregate and aggregate and keep building. There will always be genocidal plans. There will be racial hatred. There will be ethnic pride. There will be all sorts of things that take place that cause the worst side of humanity to come forth and be focused upon a particular race or people. And that is what we need to understand, that so we don't join in that. We don't ever take that same feeling of hatred upon ourselves. Because see, we have something that they don't have. We not only are the object of intense and maniacal and genocidal hatred, which we are also simultaneously the object of unimaginable love. Remember when I talked about what the Holy One's going to introduce, the phrase, my people? If you understand the depth of the emotion and the affection and the passion in his words, my people, then you understand we are the object of unimaginable love. Love that transforms, love that transcends the hatred of men. If we know we are loved by our Creator, the way we are loved by our Creator, then we can shake off and overcome, and shake our heads at, but never join in and retaliate against the hatred of the peoples of the world. Genesis gave us many things, but Exodus will give us the burning bush, burning mountain, revelation signs. We will always have this hunger in us, like we did. Genesis gave us the hunger for Eden and for seventh day Sabbath, remembrance of the beginning. Exodus will give us the memory of the burning bush, the memory of the burning mountain of Sinai, the memory of the burning fire on the altar of the Mishkan, the burning that comes with the presence of the Holy One. Oh, we will hunger for that burning. We will hunger, let it burn. May it burn in us, around us. May we always be drawn into the flame of the connection between heaven and earth, of the Holy One and his people and his creation. Finally, that comes with miraculous supernatural deliverance. We will have a story in Exodus of miraculous supernatural deliverance. Other nations have stories to tell. Some are good, some are better, some are better than others. Some are full of hate, some are full of love, some are full of wisdom and intellectually, mindset at least, intelligence. Some are full of folly. But here's the deal. Our story is based on miraculous and supernatural deliverance. But not just deliverance once. Deliverance continual. Deliverance that is not completed until this earthly life is over. And even yet it's not completed, because there is an afterlife. We'll be reminded, and our memories will be fixed in the book of Exodus and our readings of it, of the sweet season of Sinaitic betrothal, the time when the Holy One brought us to himself at Sinai and spoke. His words filled the air. We all, human man, women, children, mixed multitude of the nations and the physical, geographical, biological seed of Bnei Israel, all together heard the voice of the Creator of the universe ringing out over the desert floor, and the desert burst into bloom, this time of Sinaitic betrothal. And he said, this is who you are to me. We hear them as the 10 Commandments if we are used to listening to English sermons. But this is the 10 words. They're not even called 10 Commandments by the Torah. They're called 10 words of identification. This is the essence of the Shemot. This is who we really are. These 10 words define what is at the essence of us whenever we surrender to the plan of the Holy One. We will not be adulterers. We will not be idolaters. We will not be vain, vile speakers of profanity and blasphemy. We will not hate our neighbor. We will not dishonor our father or our mother. We will not forget his Shabbat, his Sabbath, and the possibilities that come by the renewed energy. We will not do any of this. We will not speak lies. We will not speak falsehoods and deceptions. We will not hate. We will not kill. We will not commit adultery. We will not commit fornication. We will not be sexually aroused and let that control us and control our behavior. No, we will be pure This is who we are at our essence. This is who our Shemot really are. You find it in Exodus chapter 20. These 10 words of personal identity and collective nationhood. Well, Sefer Shemot, the book of Exodus, will also introduce us to some private, communal, both private and communal, Kedusha protocols. How to live in such a way that we can host and steward the divine presence, the presence of the Holy One, that he can pierce the heavens and dwell on earth in our midst. And we can serve then. These private and communal Kedusha protocols, holiness protocols, will help us to learn how to serve as human lightning rods, make ourselves available to be human lightning rods through which stunning episodes and foretastes and samples of on earth as is in heaven. Your will be done, your kingdom come on earth as is in heaven can be accomplished upon the earth. It won't happen every day. It won't happen every week, but it will happen because we are following the private and communal Kedusha protocols that allow us to host and steward the presence and act as lightning rods, human lightning rods, for downloads of foretastes and samples of on earth as is in heaven. So, let's go to the structure of Sefer Shemot. What is the form that he presents this book to us? It's like a masterpiece prophetic play, like an opera designed by the angels, for the angels, by the Holy One. There will be 3 major acts in this drama or opera. Act 1 will be set in and about the horrible nation of Egypt, amongst a people overrun by Ra, Shakat, Hamas, a cult of fascination with death and the afterlife, angry, offended, outraged people, proud, arrogant people, ethnic pride, religious pride, all sorts of things. This will be Act 1, will be set amongst that environment. But the Holy One will not leave us there for long. That environment is not the ultimate environment where we will live. That's a deployment. It is not a home. So 3 weeks into the study, we will find ourselves plunged into a second act in the great drama. We will be set out upon the shifting sands of the desert, I call the first desert, the area between Egypt and Mount Sinai. And in that first desert area, we will have many experiences, and that will be Act 2. We will have the Sea of Reeds episode and the Song of the Sea. We will have the turning of the water sweet at Marah. We will experience both the best and the worst of the situation on earth and in that period of time. And then we will have Act 3. Act 3 of this great drama, this great opera of building the most excellent way people is going to be chapters 19 through 40, and that will be set at Mount Sinai itself. All the adventures will take place there. So let's sing the call to worship, and we'll say just a few more words, and then it will be time for us to go. If you know the Baruch Hu, feel free to sing it with me. If not, just listen and let the Hebrew phrasing, the deep Hebrew meanings roll over and speak to your spirit, your neshama within you. Even if your mind does not understand what is being said, your spirit will know very well and will respond. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorak. Baruch Adonai Hamvorak Leolam Vayed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam. Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amin. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah. Yes. Ken. Amen. And now may you open our eyes, O Holy One, that we may see wondrous things from your Torah. For we are but strangers in the earth, so do not hide your commandments from us. The closing of Bereshit ended with Joseph taking an oath from the children of Israel, saying, God will surely visit, or muster you, or gather you, and you are to carry up my bones from here. So Book of Bereshit, the book of Genesis, ended with Joseph's bones unburied in a box. What a scandal in the land of Mitzrayim, where they had pyramids and they had great tombs everyone is entombed, and they all were entombed with wealth and with riches, but it was simple, nothing but Joseph's bones in a box. It was a scandal to the Egyptians, but it was hope and life to the abused, oppressed Hebrews that lived there. They ended with, God will surely visit you and will take my bones up with me when you live. And Joseph died at the age of 110 years. And they embalmed him because that was the law of Egypt. They anointed him with spices, and they placed his body in an ark in Aron in Mitzrayim. That's the end of Genesis. We're on notice. The story of Joseph and his brothers has not all been told. Oh, there is much, much more. Matter of fact, the greatest parts of the story are yet to be told. There's more to come. Bones in a box, they are awaiting transport. I want to go into the opening lines then of Sefer Shemot. We sung our Baraku, so we're ready to let our spirits be open to the Hebrew and the English. Ve'ele Shemot b'nei Israel, and these are the Shemot. These are the essential essences of the sons of Israel. Haba'im mitzrema et Yaakov, who came to Egypt unto Yaakov. Ish uvetu ba'u, each man coming with his household. Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Vayehi kol nefesh yotzei yerek Yaakov. These are all the souls that came forth from Yaakov's loins. Shavim nefesh veYosef haya b'Mitzrayim, and 70 souls with Joseph already being in Egypt. Vayamat Yosef lekol Achiav lekol hador hahu, and then Yosef died, and all his brothers, and all that generation. Uvnei Israel paru vayishtu vayirbu vayamatsu bimiod meod vitimale haaretz otam. A lot of words, 5 verbs, but Bnei Israel were fruitful, and they increased abundantly, and they multiplied in number, and they grew exceedingly mighty and strong, and they filled and spread out through the land. The land was filled with them. This is the story as it begins. Vayakom melech chadash al Mitzrayim, and there arose a new king over Egypt, Asher lo yada et Yosef, who did not know Yosef. Well, the story is about to grow very, very dark. The deep darkness of our story is about to be told. There will be pogroms. There will be hatred. There will be suspicion. There will be Shemot and Hamas running rampant and running wild throughout Egypt. And it will all be directed at the descendants of Yaakov, of these names, of these Shemot that were mentioned before. But this will not destroy us. To the contrary, everything that the world tries to throw at, everything that the Shemot and Hamas slinging talking heads of the world try to project, or the angry, offended, outraged minions try to enforce with the fist or with the weaponry. Everything is thrown against us. The Holy One will cause us to rise above, because we are his people of the more excellent way. We are not to be claim that as a source of pride. He has chosen to do this for the sake of all creation, for the sake of all nations. His plan is for all peoples of all nations. So the major elements of the Sefer Shemot that we will now begin to see after we see how the darkness began to take over in Egypt, we will see whose we are. We belong to the Holy One. He calls us my people. We will see how and with whom we identify. We don't identify with the power mongers, the elite of the world, the governments of the world, the cultures, the religions of the world. We don't connect with, we don't identify with the institutions or the conventions of the human race as it's devolved into its Shemot, Hamas quagmire. We identify with the heavenly host. We identify with the cherubim and the seraphim who sing, "Holy, holy, holy are you, O holy Lord God Almighty. May the earth be filled with your glory." We identify with the realm above, not the realm below. The second major element of the Sefer will be to understand the birthing room the Holy One has chosen for his new nation. It is Mitzrayim. If we understand Mitzrayim, we will understand all nations. We will understand why the nations rage and the peoples imagine a vain thing. We will understand that there is no culture, there is no ethnicity that has superiority over any other. That all have sinned and come short of the glory of the Holy One. That all are deeply, deeply flawed and deeply evil. And with no pride, no racial, no ethnic, no cultural pride exists in the human form. But there is another way, the way of the Holy One. We will understand also the third major element of the Sefer will be our introduction to the divinely chosen agents of deliverance. The Holy One will use ordinary human beings, like Joseph, like Moshe, like David down the road, and so on and so on. He will always touch individual agents of deliverance and collective agents of deliverance, and he will work through those people. We need to learn to tie ourselves to them, not because of their humanity, but because of the spark of divinity in them. The fourth thing that the Holy One will teach us, the major element of the Sefer, will be that the nation process, the nation birthing process, can be painful and messy. But it is worth it. It is worth it 100,000 times over to be the nation, the people of the Holy One, to be the most excellent way people, to not conform our ways to the ways of the world and not fall into their traps and pitfalls, their constant game of chutes and ladders, of culture and ethnicity and religion and economy, but instead to be the more excellent way people. We will learn as part of the major elements of this Sefer that we have a fundamental, foundational calling. We will find out that we are to be the Am Segula, the model nation that the Holy One projection shows. Be like this. Don't be like you, the other nations. Be like this. And we will be the Mamlakat HaKohanim from Exodus 19. We will be the kingdom of priests, the kingdom of royal ambassadors, of emissaries of the heavenly realms and on the earth. We will be the Goy Kadosh, the holy nation. Again, back to the nation building process. A nation of Kedusha energy. A nation that does not operate on the basis of intelligence, of humanity, or wisdom, does not operate on the basis of experience. It operates on the basis of divine spark. Yes, the foundational calling is to be a people of Kedusha, who walk in Kedusha, flow in Kedusha, and are energized, empowered, and motivated by Kedusha. The next thing, the next major element of this book that we will be reading is the covenant being affirmed and sealed. In every generation, the covenant comes back alive, is awakened. The covenant is called forth again. Will it be awakened in you? Will it be awakened in your children and your children's children? Well, if not you, then who? If not now, then when? Come, the covenant is ready to be affirmed and sealed. The Abrahamic covenant, the plan of B'Tselem Elohim, the plan of Lech Lecha and of Barakah, the plan of walk before me and be blameless, the plan of God will bring good out of all these things. Though you intend it for evil, the rest of the world, he will make them good. This is the covenant affirmed and sealed again in our generation. We will get introduced to the basics of Kedusha, of how to connect with Kedusha energy, the energy that fuels heaven, that causes the four living creatures and the 24 elders to do what they do in the heavenly realms. It causes the angels and the cherubim and the seraphim to sing the songs they sing. It causes the sea of glass and the lightnings and the flashes, the energies of heaven to come to earth. This is Kedusha. We will be introduced to the basics of Kedusha in this book. More on that in Leviticus. Oh, yes. And then more beyond that in the rest of the Torah and the Tanakh. We will also be introduced to the covenant's mercy and forgiveness protocols. This golden calf and other incidents will be horrendous incidents. But we will find that the covenant does not come without mercy and forgiveness. And it has protocols. It has expectations of mercy and forgiveness. Not so that we will just feel comfortable in sinning or misbehaving or rebelling or being independent of our creation, but so that we know that we can always come back to him, that we are like prodigals that can come back to the Father. And finally, the last major element of the Sefer will be that we will learn what it looks like, what it feels like, how it's possible to connect and have on earth as is in heaven moments. On earth as it is in heaven, strategic alignments. We'll see that epitomized by the construction and the infilling of the tabernacle, the Mishkan, in the desert. Well, what's the point of it all? At the season of trauma during which the Holy One will watch over us and nurture us and feel our pain, he will say, concerning the world of Ra, Shechat, and Hamas, he will say, come out of her, my people. I hope you're hearing it. I hope you hear the voice saying to you, you are my people. You can be my people. You've been called from the beginning of the creation and the formation of the universe to be and act as and serve as my people. Come out of her. Come out of the nations. Come out of the triggering events. Come out of the hatred. Come out of the ethnic pride movements. Come out of the religious institutions. Come out of the political arguments. Come out of the violence. Come out of the corruption. Come out of the evil, the selfishness, the narcissism. Come out of her. My people, come unto me. Build for me a place where I can dwell among you. Oh, something wonderful, world-changing is going to occur in the course of this book. The progeny of 70 souls of Bnei Israel that we read about at the beginning in chapter 1 will soon be joined by a mixed multitude of souls, a mixed multitude from different nations that bear the marks and the scars and the wounds of all ethnicities and all cultures, all the horrendous Rosh Hashanah-filled groups. People who, though they don't look like us, are like us because they have suffered generations of dehumanizing and dehumanization under cruel oligarchs and power-crazed tyrants and just people who are obsessed with Rosh Hashanah and Hamas. These strangers, these mixed multitude will arise. They're coming even now. You're hearing the voice. They will arise, surrender their scars and their wounds and their marks to the Holy One and be forged into a truly great nation, a nation of the more excellent way. Well, enjoy your studies today. Please let us know if you've been joining us, if you're with us. I hope to be able to join you again in a few moments, about an hour and a half from now, with Torah Talks with Tony and Bill. But until we meet again, good Sabbath to you. Shabbat Shalom. We are the people of the more excellent way. Come out of her. Come out of the world and be ready. Reporting for duty. Amen. See you next week.